Welcome to the channel, guys. We are back again, and today I'm going to be talking about 4 fragrances that put hair on your chest, so stay tuned for that. And if you like the content, hit that like and subscribe button. Really do appreciate it. So I was tagged in this video by Breaux Scents, and it's a video that is supposed to be 4 fragrances that put hair on your chest, and I took that largely to mean 4 fragrances that are very masculine, perhaps animalic. That is definitely a theme here. Mostly very, very masculine fragrances. And without further ado, I'm going to get into the list. I do have one designer on the list, and it is probably the most wearable or the easiest to wear, and that is Dark Rebel by John Varvatos. This one I picked not because of any particular animalic note, and not because it's very challenging. It's actually, I think, one of the easier fragrances to wear. It's just masculine, so it's boozy, it's leathery, it's actually really well done. And this is a really beautiful, cheap fragrance. The only real downside to this one, as I'm sure you've heard before, the performance is atrocious. But this has all of those qualities of like a bad boy in a leather jacket, you know, that really give off that sense of a dude with hairy chest, if you want to think about it that way. It's not challenging, in my opinion. I think it's fairly easy to wear for this type of fragrance, but I guess that depends on the kind of person that you are. But if you want something that's masculine, is pretty easy to wear, has a really nice leather note as well, this is one you should definitely consider checking out. The next one is actually also a designer, although it's from the Privé line of Dior, so some people might consider it to be niche. I often put the Privé on niche. It's more expensive, it's a little bit more exclusive, but technically still is a designer fragrance. And this one I don't have a bottle of, partially because the original version, which is what I have, has been discontinued. It was reformulated and re-released in 2018, but the fragrance that I'm talking about is Dior Leather Oud 2010. Now, I will say that the 2018 version has a lot of the same qualities. I have smelt it, but it's not quite the same. This is a very animalic fragrance. I don't get a ton of the leather, but it's very musky, very animalic. And at times it really feels like you're smelling the fur of a wild animal. Now, the oud in it is not really that friendly when it does peek its head around. So I do get, and what a lot of people have talked about with this fragrance, and probably one of the reasons that it's been reformulated, is that wearing it, you'll notice that there is a bit of a poop smell that comes around. So I think that's the oud. It has this kind of skanky, dirty quality to it that definitely gives off that ultra masculine vibe. And I think it's funny that we sort of associate something that smells kind of bad in a sense, or objectively you could say it smells bad, as masculine. Now, I do actually think this is a really well done fragrance, especially for the type of fragrance that it is. It's animalic, it's really high quality. There's a little bit of a honeycomb vibe in there that adds just a crisp, luxurious sort of sweetness in the background. It's something that to me is very subtle, but this is really well done. And personally, if it weren't for the fact that the 2010 was so hard, is hard to find, I probably would buy a bottle. The one chance I did get to buy it, it was like outrageously expensive, like 3 times the price of what it was retail. And frankly, I'm not about that life. Like, I didn't need it that much that I wanted to pay that kind of money for it. But Dior Leather Oud, I still think the 2018 version is worth trying. It is a little bit more wearable, a little bit more friendly, and I don't think it has as much of that sort of poopy vibe. And I will say that only really comes and goes. It's not always there. This has a very masculine, musky, rough, confident feel, and it is one of those fragrances that I think you have to wear confidently, or it will most certainly wear you. Next on the list is one from Nishane, and that is Unu Tumen, and I probably said that wrong. I blind bought this one. I'm not going to talk about it a lot because I do want to do a full review on it. The reason that I did put this on the list, though, is that it is quite animalic. There is a very present animalic touch to this. There is an oregano note to it, which does make this interesting, and I think the animalic quality, it kind of shares a few similarities with Leather Oud. I do find the animalic more upfront, a little bit more luxurious, but there is this very quality animalic vibe to this one. Mixed in with that oregano, it gives it also a very unique flavor, something that I don't see from a lot of other fragrances, so it is interesting. I also picked this one up, I think, for $80 or less, so if it is one you like and you can find it, I got this at fragrancebuy.ca. Will say, of course, not sponsored, but that is where I picked this up, and it was like $80, which I think is a good price for a Nishane, and if you like it, it's also a good price. But anyways, very quality. Lasts a long time. It's a little bit more challenging because of that animalic oregano vibe that it does have, but it definitely has a lot of that masculine appeal, a lot of that sort of challenging nature that I think takes a little bit more confidence to wear to pull off, and that's why I put this one on the list. The last one on the list, I actually don't have a bottle of this one either. This one I've talked about before. I actually do really enjoy this one, and one of the biggest reasons I don't think I will buy a bottle at any point in time, anytime soon anyways, is that it is one that's very long lasting and you don't need a lot of sprays because it's absolutely beast mode. And that fragrance is none other than Kilian Royal Leather. So this one is one from the line that doesn't get talked about a lot. And it is an exclusive, I think, to London. And now, I will say this is an interesting composition because I find the most challenging part of this one to be in the opening. This is where it's more of the hair on your chest kind of fragrance. It's such an aggressive leather that it's really, really in your face. I think that the opening for this is much stronger, much more leathery than Tuscan leather. So I know a lot of people consider ombre leather to be a sort of tapered down or lighter or easier to wear version of Tuscan leather, and if that's the case, then Royal Leather by Kilian is the more challenging version of Tuscan leather. There isn't any sweetness in this one. This is leather, this is oud, and I think there's patchouli in this one too, which gives it actually, I get in the opening what's really interesting, this really, really slick, almost industrial leather smell with a bit of a chocolatey vibe. So I think it's the patchouli in the background, giving it a slight chocolatiness. And that really persists for a couple of hours. So it's a very, very prominent leather. And very, very strong, very, very in your face. But it does dry down really beautifully, and I think really fairly easy to wear. So it becomes a lot more oudy in the dry down. And again, it's more of like a woody or a different woody smell than something that's very skanky or whatever. So it is a nice, easy to wear oud in that regard. But overall, it definitely just has a lot more of those somewhat challenging facets, those facets where you have to wear it confidently, and those qualities that I think make it a much more masculine fragrance, and you could even say ultra masculine, especially in that opening. And that's sort of what I've tried to do with this list, is choose things that are not just masculine, but very masculine. And I think that all of these fragrances are a nice mix of animalic, leathery type of qualities that do give them a nice masculine appeal. This one, again, probably the easiest to wear, probably the most mass appeal of all time. I find, if you want something that, is somewhat more traditional in the sense of a traditional masculine fragrance, Leather Oud is a nice one to try. And for uniqueness factor, definitely, I can never say that one right, but Unu Tamam is more unique, and Royal Leather for the absolute beast mode leather fragrance. So that's my list. I do enjoy all of those fragrances, and I would recommend getting your nose on them if you get the chance. I'm going to tag a couple of people. I think I will tag Mo from the Scented Engineer, and I will see if Troy from Troy D 24/7 Mall will also do this video. Hope they do it. I'd like to see what kind of fragrances they think are very masculine, and maybe there'll be some interesting choices there. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. Leave a comment down below. What are some of your most hairy-chested kind of fragrances, your most masculine fragrances that you have that you really enjoy? And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.